Hello, dear friends, and welcome. Tonight, I have a special story for you, one that's cozy, safe, and full of gentle magic. It's called Ghost, but don't worry. This isn't a story meant to frighten. Instead, it's about kindness, memory, and the beauty of quiet places. So, settle in with a warm blanket or a favorite cup of tea, and let's begin together. In a quiet little town at the edge of a forest stood a small, ivy-covered cottage. Its windows glowed softly at night, casting golden light onto the garden path. This was where Clara lived. She was known for her kindness, her garden full of roses and lavender, and the way she always welcomed neighbors with tea and freshly baked bread. Clara often spoke to the garden at night, whispering stories to the flowers as if they were old friends, and sometimes, in the stillness, she felt she wasn't alone. There was a gentle presence, like a soft breath of wind, that seemed to listen. One evening, as the moon hung low and silver light spilled across the garden, Clara noticed something unusual, a faint glow near the old oak tree. It shimmered softly, as though it didn't want to startle her. Instead of fear, Clara felt a strange calmness, like meeting an old friend she'd forgotten. The glow moved closer, and soon a shape appeared, not dark or frightening, but pale and gentle, with kind eyes that seemed to smile. Clara whispered softly, "Hello there, who might you be?" The figure didn't speak, but the air felt warmer, as though the garden itself sighed with relief. And Clara, without knowing why, smiled back. From that night on, Clara would often sense the presence again. She began calling it her garden friend. When she watered the roses, she sometimes heard the faint rustle of petals even when there was no breeze. When she lit her lantern in the evening, the glow seemed to answer, shimmering softly beside her. Clara never felt afraid. In fact, she began to feel comforted, as if someone was keeping her company in the quiet hours. She would sit by the oak tree with her teacup, telling the unseen friend about her day, about the neighbors, the bread she baked, or the new seedlings in her herb patch. Though the figure never spoke, Clara always felt understood. One evening, she placed a second cup of tea on the garden table, just for her silent friend. The glow seemed brighter that night, as if grateful for the thought. A soft breeze carried the scent of lavender and jasmine, wrapping the cottage in peace. Soon, even the neighbors noticed. They would say, "Clara, your garden seems to glow more than ever." Clara would only smile. She didn't mention her garden companion, but she thought perhaps they could feel the kindness too. Over time, Clara realized something beautiful. The presence wasn't a ghost in the way most imagined. It wasn't bound by sorrow or fear. It was simply part of the place, like the oak tree, the roses, and the moonlight, a gentle spirit of belonging. And in its quiet company, Clara's heart felt fuller. Silence no longer felt empty. The nights instead were filled with the quiet music of companionship. Seasons passed. The garden bloomed in spring with roses, hummed in summer with bees, blushed with autumn leaves, and rested under blankets of winter snow. Through it all, Clara and her quiet companion shared the days and nights together. One evening, on the anniversary of when she had first seen the glow, Clara decided to say what she had always felt in her heart. Standing beneath the oak tree, with lantern light flickering around her, she whispered, "Thank you for being here, for keeping me company. You've made my little world so much brighter." The glow shimmered softly, brighter than ever before. The air grew warm, and the garden seemed to hold its breath. Then, Clara felt a gentle touch, like the brush of a hand against hers, so light. It was almost like the wind. Tears filled her eyes, not from sadness, but from the sweetness of being understood. After that night, the glow came less often, though the garden never lost its warmth. Clara believed the spirit had given her a gift, the reminder that we are never truly alone. Every breeze, every bloom, every star in the night sky held the memory of connection. And so, whenever neighbors came by, Clara would smile and say, "The garden is alive with love, you know. If you sit quietly, you just might feel it." So, dear friends, May this story remind you that even in the quietest moments, kindness lingers and presence can be felt in many forms. Thank you for listening tonight. If this story brought you comfort, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me again for more cozy, heartwarming tales. Until next time, may your nights be gentle and your hearts always full.